Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Shukrothim. In this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about breath. Basically, it's a continuation from the last video. In the last video, if you remember, I spoke to you guys about the power of observation. The mind, when it's still. The mind, when it's like an arrow, absolutely pinpointed and focused, is a very powerful instrument. Everything that we want to gain in this world is gotten by this power of concentration. Have you ever noticed a sniper, or when you're sewing a cloth with a needle and thread, or for that matter, when you take a thread and try and put it into the needle? Do you notice that when you hold your breath or when you stop breathing, your mind becomes more steady? It becomes more still. You're more able to achieve the ability to push that thread into the needle, or to aim better, to focus your mind better. Now, when a sniper breathes, for example, I know a lot of you might not really go well with the example of a sniper because it's probably war and violence, but really from a technical point of view, I just want to say that when a person shoots an arrow, or for example a sniper, when they try to shoot, what they try and do is they try and hold their breath. They try to steady themselves as much as they can, including the heart rate. It's said that a sniper or an Olympic champion, when it comes to shooting bows and arrows, shoots in between their heartbeat. Can you imagine what power of focus is required, that you have to shoot in between your heartbeat? Which in other words means your heart goes dup dup, and then there is a silence, there's a pause, and that's when they let go. Because the mind is so much more focused, so much more steady, completely immersed in what they need to achieve, in what they're pointing at. So in the same way, in this very yogic sense, yogis develop the power of concentration. They made their minds more steady. But why did they make their minds more steady? You have to understand that yogis were trying to master their minds. We're all trying to master our minds. Sometimes, and it is said, that the mind is like a drunken monkey. It keeps jumping about. There is no stillness. It's not when you really have to perform in life that you realize how important a still mind is. Otherwise, a mind that is excitable is seldom able to achieve what it needs to. A yogi basically finds the balance between fun, enjoyment, and work and seriousness. A lot of the time in the world, people get too lost in the seriousness of life and in this frivolous excitement of life. Both can bring in disastrous results. If you have not experienced this firsthand, then life will show you. Very few people escape from this. Even social influencers and celebrities know that they need to have a certain level of staying calm and balanced. So, how does breath really come into play? As I said before, when you breathe normally, your mind also moves along with your breath. Your power of focus also wanes and waxes according to the rate of your breath and according to the rhythm of your breath. So, in order to steady this rhythm, in order to make your mind more one-pointed, in order to get better control over your emotions, yogis suggested, why not still your breath instead of trying to still something more difficult like thoughts? Have you tried that? Have you tried stilling your thoughts just in one go? Just go blank. Normally, you wouldn't be able to do that just like that. When you use the power of breath, it is said that you think as long as you breathe. Science will eventually show this, but we in yoga, we understand and we've understood that in-breath causes rise of thoughts, okay? The out-breath causes recession of thoughts. In-breath gives life, creation, and expansion. And out-breath is the opposite. Out-breath moves towards stillness, okay? If you look at a dead body, a corpse, it's still because there is no place for thoughts to develop, no place for activity, consciousness. It's all come out. When it comes out, that life force, everything becomes still. This is the secret that yogis found. And this is why yogis became experts in controlling their mind, in mastering their consciousness. When you cannot master your mind and when you can't control it, when you're less conscious, or you're so conscious that you become so self-conscious and so sensitive that it's causing so much of agitation, nervousness, and anxiety that some of you might ask, but is there a way for me to just calm down? Is there a way for me to just focus on my job or focus on the things that are more important? How can I not get distracted by the things that are not important for me? That's where yogis found out that your life force and how you control it is the key. They never really gave the secrets out so openly because they were worried of how people would misuse it. I'm going to give you guys some history. In Bengal, where most of the tantric practices came about, the more esoteric practices of yoga came about, the more secretive practices came about, yogis found out, or these tantric practitioners found out, that they developed certain abilities that were beyond normal. They found out that they could gain great mastery over the material realm as well as the spiritual realm. So, kings and princes, landlords, you name it, people who wanted to grow materially used to come to these masters, and they used to be like, can you do something? Can you sort of do some of your hocus pocus, whatever we don't understand, and make us really rich or famous, or increase our ability to be more attractive and appealing, more charismatic? Now, depending on what you want to believe, you can believe what you want to believe, but these people would actually do something that would, make these kings and princes and these sometimes nobodies really famous. How did they do it? They did it because they tapped into this latent dimension that's there in the universe. I'm not going to get too esoteric and mystical, okay, because a lot of you might get confounded and might not come to terms with these things which is beyond science and technology at the moment, but which was well known back in the day. So, if you want to still your mind, if you want to work better, if you want to calm your emotions down, Yogi suggested that you master your ability to restrain the fluctuations of consciousness by restraining your breath, by bringing in ordered breathing, rhythmic breathing, and then stopping breath as well as consciousness. By doing so, you reach a state of stillness. It's a profound experience, this state of stillness. When you reach this state of stillness, you can hear the clock ticking so clearly. Your mind becomes super focused. Nothing escapes your attention. You can choose to detach yourself from certain objects at will and focus on those things that you want to pay attention to. Let's say you want to become a fashion designer, right? You're a student and you want to come out with a very beautiful dress. You have to bring first the materials required to make that dress. Then you would have to understand what it is that you want from that formless cloth, that cloth which has no shape yet, that you have to give shape to. For this, you have to stop your mind from doing anything else and simply focus on what you want, which is the shape of the dress. Your mind must have the ability to get completely absorbed in that process of imagination and visualization. If your mind is weak, if your mind is distracted and agitated and filled with anxiety and all kinds of fluctuations, that process becomes very difficult. It becomes less enjoyable. In the ancient day, to prove the extraordinary effects and results of pranayama or yogic breathing techniques, every village or every county, town had a contest where different schools of yoga, different schools of philosophy chose their best students to take part in this contest, where they would be asked to answer a number of questions and they would have to memorize those questions as they were being asked. There was no repetition and they would have to give the answers afterwards. So think about it, there are probably more than 100 people who are given these questions, right? But they have to remember all of those 100+ questions, right? And return back, giving the answer to each one of these in the exact order. The one who could reproduce this extraordinary feat of memory power was declared the winner, and this used to actually happen. People would actually do this. But these are the extraordinary benefits of being able to control your breath or use the power of your breathing. As skeptical as many might be, first-hand experience is the only thing that can convince a person about the veracity and the effectiveness of this very powerful process, which is called pranayama. Pran basically means breath, life force. Ayam means to stop. So it's to stop the process of that up and down motion of breathing and the currents passing up and down your spine, making the main central current pass into the main central channel and stilling it. It's a very profound process. It's usually experienced during meditation and deep yogic breathing. Asanas strengthen the tools required to experience the effects of that process. In other words, the designer who has to create this magnificent dress has to use all the resources of his mind, has to have this power of grasping, bring all of these visual ideas, create and bring together and bring into actualization, bring into manifestation that dress. through a powerful mind. Unfortunately, we have lost the art of this process. Over time, because of many invasions and because of history in general, as we know, this ancient art of yoga was either diluted, corrupted, or just lost altogether. Because you have to remember, back in those days, the way yoga was taught was as a science of peace, of calmness. You have these invaders coming in, and that's the last thing on their mind, right? So they come in and invade you, and you're not going to fight. So the yogis are just going to run away to the mountains and hide because the country is getting destroyed. They're not going to just give away all of that knowledge to the invaders, right? Because their intentions weren't exactly pure. It got lost, the art, and somehow there has been a revival. For good reason. There are more humans on planet Earth than in any period of human history. This is because science and technology has progressed to the extent that, the souls that come in that have to evolve, right, that missed the train, that missed the bus back in those days because of the violence, have come back here to finish the job. The conditions are a lot better compared to the Dark Ages. Well, so much for talk. You can also check out my 7-step vortex program. That's basically a preview into yogic breathing. It is a powerful series of breathing practices that teaches you how breath works. Now, breathing is the essential stuff that keeps you alive. If you stop breathing, your mind stops functioning. But if you stop breathing, your mind also stops functioning with those things that actually cause distraction in the first place. So, restraining breath is actually not as straightforward as you think. It requires a certain technique, because merely stopping your breath does not result in stopping your mind. You have to learn how breath and mind and consciousness are connected, and how you can manipulate this to bring it under your will. That's it for me on this video, and I'll join you guys in the next video again, where I will talk more about yoga and spirituality and self-development, and I will also introduce some new yoga asanas that you guys have not seen before. And all the best if any of you guys are really into yoga. I wish you all the best in your sadhana or your practice. And do subscribe and like this video. Subscribe to this channel and like this video. I'll join you guys next week. Goodbye.